Hi, and welcome to H3 TV. We meet with you every week to talk about disruption. What do we do to deal with our professional, personal, and sometimes literal disruptions? How do we stay hopeful, healthy, and happy? I try to come to you every week with a new guest and some new tips and ideas to encourage you on your journey. We know life can be hard, and so we gather here every week to encourage one another and share tips. We love when you let us know where you're listening from. Tell us who you are, where you're listening from, and feel free to leave a comment or a question at any time. Today, I have the privilege of having my new friend Kelly with me. Please help me welcome to the stage, Kelly. Hi, Kelly. Thanks for being
Oh,
here.
thanks, Annie. So happy to be here. Thank you. Hi, everyone.
Glad to have you. So tell us who you are. Who are you? What do you do? Where do you live? All the good things.
Oh, okay. My name is Kelly Mason. I'm based in Los Angeles. I also work out of Canada, Vancouver. I'm a systems builder. I've built an academy called Kula Paradise, Kula. And I'm also a filmmaker, and I'm a mom, and I am a healer.
Awesome. Beautiful. So primarily in LA or primarily in Canada or kind of an even split?
Well, both. This year I'm going to be producing a feature that we're planning on filming in Canada.
Okay.
I also have a series that we're shopping around to the streamers right now that we will be shooting down here in LA. But mostly I'm invested in my academy, in the Kula Paradise Academy, where I teach people about clarity, self-regulation, and long-term decision capacity. I think that is so important in this day and age, as we know, with the very disoriented world, that we can provide steps, clear steps to really know who we are so that we know which step to take each day as we get out of bed.
Okay. Some stability for people in the midst of disruption. I love it. So Kelly, I love when my guests share something of their own life. Where have you dealt with the disruption professionally or personally? What was a disruption you faced in your life?
Ugh, that's a loaded question because my life has been full of disruptions. I started in an industry where I felt very invisible in the film industry. I was one of the only women on set. In fact, I made history in my country as becoming the first female cinematographer in the union on a very large project. I work with Academy Award-winning directors, etc. But I was always told to stay invisible. In fact, I got lost when I was a child in my own home by my mother telling me to stay invisible. It's best to stay quiet. People don't want to hear you so much. So I moved through my
It
industry
sounds,
with that mindset.
yeah, it sounds like you have had a lot of disruption, as many of us have. But can we go to a time, either your childhood, if that's what you choose, or in your professional career as a filmmaker? And how can we go to that space? Do you want to pick one that you kind of want to focus on?
Sure, yeah. As I was coming out of this industry, not really feeling very settled within myself, I felt my soul had somewhere else to go. I don't know if you guys have ever felt that, where you're in a job and you feel like, okay, I've got all the titles, the money, everything. I'm at the place where I'm meant to be, where I've dreamt of being, but something just doesn't feel right. That happened for me. And what happened was I actually had source or spirit or God throw me down literally off of a galloping thoroughbred racehorse going full gallop on the
Wow.
beach in Tobago, West Indies. So that was a major disruption, which was so fantastic because it brought me into the power to be able to heal. It took 10 days for me to get to medical help. I broke my arm right off at the base of the ball joint. It was on my back for 10 days. So
Wow.
I learned the steps at that time to survive,
That's a
and
great visual for our audience. So you were on a horse. Let's take you just right to that spot because I think it's a perfect visual. Everyone has their own form of disruption they're facing, but that's a really literal and physical and career and personal. It was everything all at once, right? So we can imagine this horse running forward and you're thrown off it physically. You said you were in the West Indies, so not great, easy medical access. So in the face of that, over the next couple days, most likely in a lot of physical and emotional pain, how did you stay hopeful? What were some of the things you did to keep going, to get up the next day, to breathe, to not give up and curl up in a ball and just die in the midst of that pain? What's something you did to stay hopeful?
Yeah, so I used the light. I used healing golden light. I surrounded the area that was broken and injured with what I say, God's light or Creator's light, and that took the pain away. It was miraculous. So when I did end up on the operating table, the surgeon said, "We have to give you a prosthetic arm. Your arm's going to die." And I told him, "No, you need to save my arm," because my Academy Award-winning friends had called me over the weekend and said, "You need to tell him you still need to win your Academy Award to save your arm." So when I woke up, my surgeon was in my room and he said, "A miracle happened on the operating table. I've never seen anything like it." 3 months later, they took all the pins out because he just pinned me back together. And 6 months later, I was fully healed, no pain, perfect. And so I use the light, Annie. I just use the light, and I teach people how to use the light. And I use the light on myself every day on what I call my board of advisors, all of my chakras. So I know I could teach your
Yeah.
viewers
And they
to
can
to
certainly reach out to you and learn how to do that. That sounds beautiful. It sounds like you have an academy for that. I want to say, Kelly, I love what you just said, because whatever disruption our audience is going through, we know that we use light. And you also said something else besides light. You said you reached out to people who loved you, believed in you, saw a vision of your future at the Academy Awards winning. Like, I think both of those things are so important, having a great support system, but also having light, having faith in something greater than yourself. So important. How about health? How did you take care of your physical health? And maybe that is light as well, but what else did you do to take care of your physical, emotional, mental, financial health in the midst of that disruption?
Yeah, I always feel myself as an eternal being. I feel that I live from my soul perspective. I never live from a limited human perspective. So that's how I allow, and I'm a magnet for amazing opportunities in my life that are unreal. I mean, Tony Robbins came and met me on my street on my darkest day, which is just so strange that that would happen to somebody pushing their stroller on their darkest day when my marriage was falling apart. So I look through the eyes of soul, and I feel very young all the time. I'm 57, but I feel extremely youthful. And, I've lived 40 years in a man's industry, and 20 years now as a healer and a systems builder. And I just always look through the eyes of the eternal soul.
I love that. I think too, when we believe that, when we're like open to like what is possible, why is anything limited? Nothing is. I've been on Oprah before and I've had these extraordinary experiences, and people like, why you? Well, because you decide. Kelly, you got up and you pushed the stroller. You don't have to push the stroller. You could have been curled up in a ball again if you're going through a divorce or something dark, and you chose to get up to not only be light to yourself, but to be light in the world. And you are attracting those people that can see you and value the wisdom and the healing that you bring. I love healers. I'm a big believer in healing and in what's possible when we decide to not let our biggest disruptions define our life. And how about happiness and humor in the midst of that physical pain, changing like, that's a lot of changes, Kelly, in one situation. How did you find happiness and humor in the midst of that?
I just feel joy. So I focus on my own inner joy. So I demand my quanta, which is the energy source that enters your cells. This is where the creator and the soul meet, and we all are made of this. So I command the quanta every morning when I meditate to bring in the joy in the cells. Then I command the love into the cells, and then the peace. And that's just part of my morning routine. So I'm always feeling happiness and joy for the most part, compassion, empathy, all of those things. But I live life with a detachment, not a cold detachment, but a detachment of awareness. Excuse me. So I'm just aware of this kind of magical motion picture that we're living in and this divine playground. Excuse me.
I love that. Very
Yes, I really love to kind of look at life as a playground. And the thing that really brings me the most joy is connecting with children, connecting with young children, and smiling and just feeling their joy, because it's tough these days for families and for kids, and with the distraction of the cell phone and many distractions of this world that parents are facing. So I'm very invested in helping families as well. But yeah, I just feel my joy through the command of feeling joy.
Yeah, deciding.
I
Deciding.
don't need anything on the outside to give me joy. I cultivate my own joy.
Yeah. Sometimes when we have a vision for our lives and what we're supposed to do or where we're going or wherever we're going to be, we romanticize. I certainly romanticize like how smooth it's going to be, how much people are going to love me, how great it's going to be. And it doesn't always play out quite as magically as I imagine it to. When I spent 9 years in the financial world that was very male dominated, and I was not respected and supported in the way that I should have been at that time. And it sounds like you entered the filming world as a young, ambitious woman and still very successful. But I know there's a lot of young women that listen to this and they say, Kelly, what wisdom do you have? Talk to a woman 20 years younger than you. Talk to a woman, talk to your younger self. What would you say to prepare you for everything that you've faced, though we feel young over the years of experiences and travel and engagements? What wisdom would you give to your younger self or to young women that are listening to us that are surprised by the lack of support that they feel in maybe an industry that's still male dominated?
Thank you for that question, Annie. You know, it really comes down to self-realization, and this is something that you can begin at a very young age. What does that mean? That means that, like I call it the trilogy formula, there are three aspects to yourself. You have your human self, which is your costume, the body you're wearing, the characters that you have, the characteristics, sorry, that you have, your environment, your family, your social connections. Then you have your eternal soul. This is the second part of the trilogy. And this is where you are led through your soul contracts and soul assignments. And the third part of the trilogy is source, which is your higher self connection or God connection or whatever you want to call that. And so just be aware of all three of those, because when you know that you have three aspects, like a tripod of yourself to hold yourself up, if you're feeling weak in your human self, you can rely on your soul. You know, when you speak to your soul and ask your soul to lead you. And if you're feeling that you can't connect with your soul, then you can reach out to that higher part of creation, whatever you want to call that, spirit, God. And if you don't identify with that at all, then you can just be aware that self-realization is the journey in this lifetime. So if you're just starting out somewhere, be curious, be detached. Don't try to force anything, because often when we let go of things, a better scenario comes to us. So that's what I would say.
Keep moving forward. I think I always like to make it simpler for our listeners. So I think she said three things there. I think, Kelly, you said three things. I think, first of all, be aware of yourself. Second of all, be aware of your source. For me, I believe in God. I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus. And I know that he created me with great gifts. And then third, you said, be curious. And I always say, like, curiosity starts to die at about third grade for most people. And it breaks my heart because I love that you love kids. I'm a huge lover of kids. I'm like, kids don't think it's weird to smile and be happy all the time. I am choosing to be happy. People are like, you're in denial. I'm like, whatever. You are angry all the time. Like, I don't want that for my life. I choose to look for the good, be the good, spread that light. Kelly, I know you work with so many extraordinary clients. So what I'd love to hear from you is a story of somebody you met here, maybe in a lower point in their life. There you go. At a lower point in their life, and they worked with you and they found hope. Because I think sometimes when we give in to the negative or the anxiety of the world, we lose all that we are created to be, like you're talking about. So do you have a story of a client you've worked with, or a group, a family, or a group of clients or company where you moved them from here to here? And can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Annie. Yeah, I worked recently with a woman who was ready to give up on her marriage. She'd been married 20 years with 4 children, and she just got to the point where she was bored. She just felt like it wasn't really stimulating her. She wasn't happy with her husband. He had kind of checked out of the marriage, and she was ready to give it all up. And so I was able to work with her over a very short period of time, and I'll allow her to have a different perspective around herself. And I took her back to the beginning of the relationship. And we reignited why they got together in the first place. And then we spoke about how she could reshape her future. And then we understood how all of the children fit into the scenario. And when she returned, we had gone on a 4-day retreat. And when she returned to her home, 3 or 4 days later, she wrote me and she said, my marriage is completely turned around. I'm so in love with my husband. I can't even, it's amazing. I can't even believe it. She was just so grateful. So, it really is about the perspective and not knowing how to see your blind spots. Because I'm highly intuitive, I have the ability to see, hear, know, and feel everything that has happened in your childhood, in your traumas, and all of that. I was able to go and take a look at her and what was kind of blocking her in her mind and in her heart. And so I have, excuse me, an advantage that way. And I was also able to take a look at her husband as well and understand what he needed. So I was able to give her that information that saved their marriage.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Did you save your own marriage? You said earlier you were getting ready to get divorced, or did you not? Did you save your marriage?
So the father of my children and my ex and I are best friends.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we have a really great situation, and so it was never, sometimes we have to redirect. I don't believe in failure. I believe that sometimes we just need to go our separate ways for a little while and then come back, whether it's as friends or whether it's just as a memory, but hopefully a good memory, right? If we can, again, shift the perspective and understand that everything is happening for us and that we are really in a blessed world where we are taken care of by Jesus, by God, by the masters, whomever you believe in. We're led. And I've seen that firsthand in multiple situations.
Well, and I do think sometimes you're not meant to stay married, but if you can be, especially if you have kids, if you can be friends, if you can want the best for each other, that's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so we're kind of winding up here, Kelly, and I want to know, I know that my listeners are facing disruption. They privately message me. I always encourage you, leave comments, leave questions, message us privately, myself or Kelly, and we're here to support you on your journey. But if you could just give them one piece of wisdom, what do you want our listeners to know? What do you want to encourage them with today?
We have this opportunity here to expand and ascend. Okay, what does that mean? That means that we are given struggles, we are given opposition. This is actually happening for us to grow. So when you see something come up that is difficult, it's an opportunity to look back inside yourself and to take time to slow down and get to know yourself a little bit more, journal, meditate, take a walk, whatever that is. But know that it's not a bad thing that's happening to you. Like I said, there's no such thing as failure. There's only redirection. So give thanks right now for those disruptions and those struggles that you're dealing with. If you're in the middle of it, you're in the perfect place. You're exactly where you're meant to be. Even if you are very vulnerable, you may not have money, you may not even have a home to live in. I know that will change for you. This is temporary, and this is just meant for your growth, and you will look back, in the future and give thanks for that. So hang in there.
She's here encouraging you. Get some good support system. Stay. Like, I always think we get stuck in it when we focus so much on the present rather than what's possible. And I love how you said in the beginning, like, you have this vision for your life and you're doing it. So also I wanted to ask you, since you're going to win an Academy Award, what is going to be, if you have not already won an Academy Award, what is going to be the genre of movie that will win an Academy Award for you? So my audience can look for it and cheer you on.
Oh my gosh. It's actually a dark satire comedy.
Okay.
And it's called The Accidental Jesus.
Oh.
So it's going to be really great. Your audience will love it. It's a beautiful film, and it's going to bring a lot of awareness.
Is it
Yeah.
a mockery of Jesus or is it a
No, not at all. It's just about false prodigies and how we can be misled, and so it does help people to understand their truth. And I do have a podcast, by the way, called Truth Talks, so you can hear more on that. I talk with a lot of Christians about truth, and I think you'd really enjoy that too.
okay? When is your movie coming out?
Don't know yet. We're
Oh,
we're we're in the early stages,
okay.
so. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you though for asking,
Okay.
Annie.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, I'm all about having a great support system that's like, when you win this and when you do this, I have incredible people in my life that are like, Annie, like you're famous, like people talk about you, like you're on TV, you're doing this, and I think vision comes before dream, and vision happens, then dream happens, then application. Like it's so many steps. So I always like when I work with people and they're writing a book, I'm like, when's it coming out? They're like, I don't know. And I said, well, I can't work with you till we have a date because then we work backwards, right? Like you have to see this in fruition of where you're supposed to be. And then I just feel like it does evolve, but it takes work and all the things. Anyway, all right. Enough about me. Okay, Kelly, I know my audience is going to want to connect with you, learn more about your movie, learn more about your academy, learn more about you and the good work you're doing in the world as a healer, as a compassionate human that sees and feels people deeper than most of us because people don't always live an authentic life. And there's so many ways we don't have to live, and we can post on social media the exact opposite of what we're really living out. And I'm finding that more and more. I meet people in person and they are so different than the image they're portraying. And a big part of my messaging is be authentically you, bring all your broken, just don't let it define you, and use it as a gift to serve other people. So Kelly, what is the best way for our listeners to connect with you, to reach out and to get to know you?
Oh, okay, great. Thanks, Annie. My website, Kula Paradise, Kula Paradise.com. And there are lots of free practices on there. There's a research informed library, and you can receive a free orientation package, which is just very helpful for living life in a way that allows you to be free, allows you to be supported and to understand a new perspective to live by.
Awesome. As
Yeah.
someone who has dyslexia, Kula is spelled Coolla, Kula. So I'm going to ask you, Kelly, please put it in the comments on all of our things so people can just click on the link and they can find you and all your good information. And we can do that after the show. But thank you so much
Okay.
for being with me. You don't have to do it right now.
It's
I know
not,
you
it's
spelled
not
it.
Coola.
I know it's not. It's not. It's K
K-U.
something.
And I'll
You.
tell you what that means. Kula means it's Sanskrit, which is the oldest language, and it
Okay.
means family or
Mhm.
community in Sanskrit, and it's spelt in Sanskrit as the infinity sign
Oh, okay.
with a heart underneath. Isn't that
Oh,
beautiful?
that's very
Yeah,
beautiful. And I
that's
know
so
it's not spelled the way. I'm just saying my dyslexic brain, if I have dyslexic listeners, are messing the letters up. Even though you spelled it perfectly, I'm still going to ask you to share the link so it's easy to just click on it and find out more about you, about your academy, about working together. So thank you so much for being with me today. Thank you for sharing some of your wisdom with our listeners. Thank you to our listeners for being here. Make sure you comment, say hello, tell us where you're listening from, and ask questions to myself or Kelly in any way we can support you on your journey. Take care. Thanks, Kelly.
Okay, thank you, Annie. Bye, everyone. Fun.